Magandang hapon po mga kababayan. Kayo'y nakikinig dito lamang sa Radyo Migrante. Ako po si Waynes, kasama nyo sa kwentuhan at sa pagseserbisyo sa bayan.
Ako naman po si Julie, mapagpalaing tanghali sa inyong lahat. Lalong-lalo na sa napakaresponsable nating mga migranteng manggagawa sa bawat sulok ng mundo.
At ako po si Diego, ang guest host for today's episode. Super excited na makasama kayo ngayong hapon.
Samahan nyo kami sa ating episode 38 ngayong December 3, 2023 at ating pag-usapan ang patuloy na paninindigan ng mga kababaihan at advocacy groups laban sa karahasan sa mga kababaihan.
So today, we will talk about this week's top news dito sa Canada at sa Pilipinas. Mapakikinggan din natin ang isang awit tungkol sa kampanya to end violence against women. And then, makikinig tayo sa pulso from the kababayan natin sa taga St. Jamestown.
At syempre, hindi po matatapos ang ating episode kung wala ang Pinoy Tayo segment kung saan ipagpapatuloy natin ang interview with Rachel Villamor ng Anak Bayan, Philippines. Hindi rin makukumpleto ang ating episode kung wala tayong current and latest community listing sa GTA.
Ayan, napakarami pala nating mapag-uusapan today, so simulan na natin para sa ating top 4 news this week. Para sa unang balita, mula sa Pinoy Weekly, GRP, NDFP, peace talks itutuloy. Nagkasundo ang National Democratic Front of the Philippines o NDFP at Gobyerno ng Republika ng Pilipinas o GRP na buuin ang framework sa pagpapatuloy ng usapang pangkapayapaan o peace talks. Idineklara ng parehong panig ang pagkilala sa pangangailangan ng prinsipyado at mapayapang pagresolba sa armadong labanan sa pinirmahang joint statement sa Oslo, Norway noong Nobyembre 23. Para kay NDFP National Executive Council Member Luis Halandoni, malaking tagumpay ang pagpirma ng joint statement sa pagsisikap na makamit ang makatarungan at pangmatagalang kapayapaan sa bansa at para sa pakinabang ng mga Pilipino. 2 taon nang nag-uusap ang magkabilang panig para paghandaan ang pagpapatuloy ng peace talks. Ang inisyatiba ni GRP Retired General Emmanuel Bautista na unang lumapit sa NDFP ay kinilala at sinalubong naman at ikinalugod ng yumaong NDFP Chief Political Consultant Jose Maria Sison. Ito po ang isang parte na mababasa sa GRP-NDFP statement. Quote, batid ang mga seryosong issue sa ekonomiya at kalikasan at ang dayuhang pagbabanta sa seguridad ng bansa, kinikilala ng parehong partido ang pangangailangang magkaisa bilang isang bansa para kagyat na tugunan ang mga hamon na ito at resolbahan ang mga dahilan ng armadong labanan. End quote.
At ito naman ang statement ng youth group na Anak Bayan patungkol dito. Anak Bayan welcomes this development in the peace process. We have long called for the resumption of peace talks, which we see as a framework that addresses the socio-economic basis of armed conflict. We believe that this proves that the all-out war approach to addressing insurgency is not effective. Hence, along with our support of the peace talks, we reiterate our calls to abolish the NTLF, LCAC, and the anti-terror law, which are all detrimental to a principled and peaceful end to the conflict. Furthermore, the openness of revolutionary groups to a peaceful resolution to the conflict disproves their terrorist designation.
At para sa pangalawang balita, mula sa Philippine Star, NUPL and Rise Up to Marcos, accept ICC ad hoc jurisdiction. Sa magkasanib na pahayag, hinimok ng National Union of People's Lawyers o NUPL at Rise Up for Life and for Rights o Rise Up si Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na pag-isipan niyang tanggapin ang kondisyong jurisdiction ng ICC para sa investigasyon sa drug war, na itinatampok na ang pagsang-ayon ng Senado ay hindi kailangan para sa naturang desisyon sa kabila ng hindi pagiging miyembro ng ICC ng Pilipinas.
Sabi nga ng NUPL at Rise Up, quote, "Kami ay umaapela sa Pangulo na seryosong isaalang-alang ang muling pakikipag-ugnayan sa Korte dahil sa kamakailang suporta mula sa legislatura para sa pakikipagtulungan sa patuloy na pagsisiyasat." 5 resolusyon na nakabinbin sa parehong kapulungan ng Kongreso ang sumasalamin sa patuloy na paghahanap ng mga tao sa katotohanan at katarungan, unquote.
Oo nga po, tita. At ang mensahe din nila para kay Vice President Sara Duterte ay dapat na iset aside ang personal interest at unahin ang public interest to attain justice. Si Sara Duterte kasi ay umapela sa Department of Justice na wag payagan ng ICC na mag-imbestiga.
Para sa pangatlong balita mula sa CNN, transport groups ay another nationwide strike by December. Ang mga transport group ay tumitingin sa pagsasagawa ng isa pang nationwide strike bilang protesta laban sa jeepney franchise consolidation, sabi ng chairperson of Manibela, Mar Balbuena nitong Martes. Quote, "Itong pinag-uusapan na iba't ibang transport strike, hindi pa namin ma-determine kung kailan namin i-launch pero definitely meron pang mas malaking tigil pasada." Unquote. Yan po ang sabi ni Balbuena. Idinagdag din niya na isa pang huelga sa transportasyon ang magaganap bago matapos ang 2023.
So, nationwide transport strike ang tugon nila sa deadline for December 31 para sa franchise consolidation sa ilalim ng Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program ng gobyerno. Ang demanda ng transport group sa gobyerno ay bigyan ng 5 taong prangkisa ang mga tradisyonal na jeepney driver at operator kahit tumanggi silang sumali sa isang kooperatiba. Hinimok din nila ang Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairman na si Teofilo Guadis na maglabas ng memorandum order na ginagarantiyahan ng prangkisa ng jeep ay kapwa pag-aari ng kooperatiba at ng mga jeepney driver at operator.
At para sa huling balita mula sa CNN, Filipino Noraline Babadia released by Hamas. Si Noraline Babadia ay pinalaya ng Palestinian militant group na Hamas at ngayon ay ligtas na nakabalik sa Israel, inihayag ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos noong Miyerkules. Si Babadia ay na-hostage ng Hamas noong October 7 kasamang isa pang Pilipino, ang caregiver na si Jimmy Pacheco na ipinalaya noong nakaraang linggo. Pinalaya sina Babadia at Pacheco sa panahon ng ceasefire na napagkasunduan ng Israel at Hamas. Patuloy po kayong nakikinig sa Radyo Migrante dito sa Toronto's Best Filipino Community Program, Vibe 105. Natungayan po ninyo ang mga balita at ngayon naman magbalik tanaw tayo sa kasaysayan at kultura ng Pilipinas.
Hello po ulit! Ako si Julie bringing you today's segment of Ang Ating Kasaysayan. Let's learn more about our history and remind ourselves that history is not just information about the past, because history is a way for us to learn more about our culture and to get to know more about ourselves as Filipinos. Although paminsan-minsan pinag-uusapan din natin yung relevant events na dito nangyari sa Canada, just like today. Did you know that exactly 34 years ago, noong December 6, 1989, isang lalaki ang pumasok sa isang mechanical engineering classroom sa École Polytechnique ng Montreal. Siya ay armado ng semi-automatic weapon. Matapos paghiwalayin ang mga babae sa mga lalaki, he opened fire on the women while screaming, "You are all feminists!" 14 young women were murdered at 13 na iba pang tao ang nasugatan. The shooter then turned the gun on himself at sa kanyang suicide note, he blamed feminists for ruining his life. The note contained a list of 19 quote-unquote radical feminists na sinabi niyang papatayin sana kung hindi siya maubusan ng oras. Kasama rito ang mga pangalan ng mga kilalang kababaihan sa Quebec, including journalists, television personalities, and union leaders. This act of violent misogyny, which became known as the Montreal Massacre, shook our country. In 1991, the Parliament of Canada declared December 6 to be a National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. Kilala rin ang event na ito as White Ribbon Day. As we mourn their loss and remember their lives, we reaffirm our commitment to fight the hatred that led to this tragedy and the misogyny that still exists today. In Canada and around the world, women, girls, and 2S LGBTQI+ individuals face unacceptable violence and discrimination.
Oo nga tita, may naisip ako ng mga ibang examples of violence against women, especially yung mga OFW sa Middle East who are domestic workers. They experience sexual, physical, and emotional abuse. Some are even murdered and missing. Kwento nga ng lola ko na nag-work siya sa Polo Owa sa Jordan at saka sa Dubai. Ang daming mga cases ng Filipina domestic helpers who ran away from their abusive employers. It is a really big problem in the region.
Oo nga, Diego, magandang example yan kasi napapaisip rin ako dito sa Canada mismo, marami ring caregivers and domestic workers na mga Pilipino na na-expose sa ganitong mga karahasan. Na pag-isipan na rin natin no yung nung COVID, napakatindi ng kanilang sitwasyon. Yung iba sa kanila hindi pinapayagang umalis ng bahay, so nakukulong, kinukuha yung passport nila. And all of that dahil din na natutukoy din natin na it's because vulnerable sila, dahil sa nasa temporary work permit pa rin sila, and if they want to receive papers to be able to apply for status, kailangan nilang tiisin yung yung requirement na dapat na nagstay sila doon sa same employer. Nakikita rin natin na itong mga Filipino migrant women, ating mga kababayan, na ay mga vulnerable din sa karahasan na physical, emotional, at saka systematic na rin dahil nga sabi nga ni Diego, napakaraming kababaihang napupuwersang magtrabaho sa ibang bansa at kadalasan napupunta sila sa mga ganitong delikadong sitwasyon dahil sa wala silang mahanap na trabaho sa Pilipinas na maayos, o naghahanap sila ng mas nakabubuting kondisyon para sa pamilya nila, makapagpadala sila ng pera sa Pilipinas. Ayun.
That's true. Kaya ang National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women na ginugunita tuwing December 6 ay napaka-importante. Nakaalay ang araw na ito sa pag-alala sa mga nakaranas ng karahasan na nakabatay sa kasarian and those who we have lost to it. Panahon din ito para kumilos upang magkaroon ng Canada na malaya sa karahasan na nakabatay sa kasarian. Lahat ng naninirahan sa bansang ito ay kailangang i-educate ang kanilang sarili at yung kanilang mga pamilya, pati na yung kanilang komunidad tungkol sa gender-based violence and to speak up against harmful behaviors.
Naisip ko rin na dapat ding mas pagtibayin yung mga polisiya at mga batas na nagpoprotekta sa mga kababaihan, bawasan ng impunity dun sa mga perpetrators ng sexual abuse, misogyny, kahit discrimination sa trabaho, ganyan. Yun din naisip ko.
At ayan ang ating kasaysayan. Did you learn something new about our history? Share nyo yan sa aming Facebook page. Hanapin lang po ang Radyo Migrante and join us again next week sa marami pang pag-aaral ng ating history.
Patuloy po kayong nakikinig sa Radyo Migrante dito sa Toronto's Best Filipino Community Program, Vibe 105. Maraming salamat, Tita Julie. At para sa susunod na segment, lumubog tayo sa ating kulturang Pilipino.
Ngayon naman, para sa kulturang Pilipino, ako si Diego. Nais nyo bang makadiskubre ng mga makabuluhang kanta at tula mula sa iba't ibang musikero at makata? Ang segment na ito ay magsisilbing espasyo para sa iba't ibang pagtatanghal ng mga talento ng ating kababayang Pilipino. Our featured song today ay Babae, Bumangon Ka. Ito ay sinulat ni Girlie Torres Brillantes at kinanta ni Valiant Torres noong August 2008. Ito ay commissioned by the National Commission on the Role of Filipino Women, NCRFW, as a theme song for the observance of the 18-day campaign to end violence against women. Pakinggan po natin.
Babae, bumangon ka. May buwang ka sa mundo upang tuluyang magbago. Di ka nag-iisa. Tayo ay sama-sama. Wagasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan. Matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Gabay mo ang batas sa pagsubil ng dahas. Bumangon ka, labanan ng karahasan. Babae, bumangon ka. Halaga sa lipunan, hindi mapapantayan. Bigyang kabuluhan, pagtahak sa tamang daan. Wagasan ng karahasan sa kababaihan. Matutong manindigan sa iyong karapatan. Gabay mo ang batas.
Very inspiring. Sana maabot ng kanta ang mga kababayan nating Filipina migrant workers. Muli ako si Diego, lagi niyong maaasahan na mahahandog ng makabuluhang musika, tula at marami pang iba na nagdiriwang ng kulturang Pilipino. Dito lang sa Radyo Migrante 105.5 FM.
Para naman sa ating pulso segment, pakinggan natin ang mga saloobin ng ating mga kababayan na taga St. Jamestown. Ano pong pinakamahirap sa pagiging Pilipino sa ibang bansa?
Ay,
Para po sa inyo.
para sa akin dahil naranasan ko yan nung bagong dating pa lang ako dito sa Canada. Ako'y dalaga pa noon. I was 17 years old. Ay, yung minamalita.
Saan niyo po yun?
Ayun, oo.
Nung 17 pa lang po kayo, nandito na kayo.
Nung pinapabaluit ko yung aking mga papeles sa school, ay nabuli ako. Doon pa lang sa registration.
Registration sa Pilipinas?
Dito, sa Canada.
Nabuli na po kayo noon?
Nabuli na ako.
Oh.
Sinabi sa akin na boat people ako.
Ano daw po?
Boat. Nabuhat kami lahat dito ng pamilya ko dahil sa medical problem. Ang mother ko at saka yung bunso kong kapatid. Kasi ang young sister ko ay need to operate the heart problem. Saka mother ko, mata.
Ano po
Sana-
ang pinakamalapit na issue para sa inyo?
Kasi ito sana makita ng gobyerno na renta, napupunta lahat ng pera sa renta. Ang pagkain 60% went up. Sana naman makita nila yun, yung renta merong bumaba man lang para yung tao ba hindi naghihirap. Kaya ang daming masamang mga ginagawa nila dahil hindi nila ma-afford yung renta. Nadidepress yung mga tao, ganito, ganyan, you know. Ang kita naman, hindi naman palaging meron, you know.
Ano po bang masasabi
Kasi-
niyo sa kalagayan sa Pilipinas ngayon?
Sa Pilipinas kasi sa Pilipinas magkasakit ka, wala kang pera, dead ball ka. Wala kang perang pambayad ng doktor. At least dito, meron tayong card na ginagamit na gamot lang ang binabayaran natin.
Maraming salamat sa mga nagbahagi ng kanilang opinyon at karanasan. Patuloy po kayong nakikinig sa Radyo Migrante dito sa Toronto's Best Filipino Community Program, Vibe 105. Huwag kayong aalis mga kababayan. Makakasama natin muli si Rachel Villamor, ang Deputy Secretary General ng Anak Bayan Philippines. Ipagpapatuloy natin ang ating usapan patungkol sa papel ng kabataan sa pagbabago ng ating lipunan. Mapapakinggan po natin yan after the break.
Ayan. Ako po ang inyong host si Diego sa ating Pinoy Tayo segment o Pinoy Talakayan at Usapan. Dito natin mapakinggan ang talambuhay ng ating mga kababayan na migrant workers, international students at iba pa. Halina't pakinggan natin ang fresh na perspectives ng ating mga kababayang Pilipino. Makakasama natin muli si Rachel Villamor, ang Deputy Secretary General ng Anak Bayan Philippines. Ipagpapatuloy natin ang ating usapan patungkol sa papel ng kabataan sa pagbabago ng ating lipunan.
Ayan. So talagang marami naman palang naipanalo ang Anak Bayan. Pero bakit mahalaga sumama o maging involved ang mga kabataan, maging ang kabataan sa diaspora? So kasi yung ibang mga kabataan sinasabi, lalo na yung mga nandito na sa ibang bansa, sinasabi bakit kailangan pa naming makialam kumbaga sa nangyayari sa Pilipinas nandito na ang buhay namin. So I just wanted to know your thoughts about that.
Let's start off dun sa bakit ba mahalaga sumama, no? So, sa atin naman, kung babaybayin natin yung kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, hindi mawawala dyan. Hindi lang ng Pilipinas, but ng daigdig. Hindi mawawala yung makasaysayang papel ng kabataan sa pag-ianak ng social change, no? So, yan yung tanging katangian ng kabataan, eh. Tayo yung kumbaga sinasabi ng pag-asa ng bayan, no? Kung wala yung kabataan, hindi kumbaga magsasagnate yung lipunan, hindi magkakaroon ng iba't ibang pamamaraan para ikiit yung karapatan ng mamamayan, no? So bahagi yun ng ating role. Kung sa usapin ng siyempre tayo as kabataan, tayo yung susunod na halimbawa henerasyon, no? Anong klaseng lipunan ba ang ating mamanahin kung hindi tayo lalaban? Kumbaga, yun yung isang gusto nating maipunto ng kahalagahan ng pagsama o maging involved yung mga kabataan sa paglaban para sa isang malayang lipunan, pantay-pantay na lipunan. Kasi, at the end of it all, ang kinabukasan natin nung nakataya, no? Ang susunod na henerasyon na dugo ng mga kabataan, no, ang magmamana ng lipunan. Kung sa bahagi ng mga kasama natin na sa diaspora, at ang sigurong masasabi ko, mahalaga pa din at very crucial yung pagluhok natin sa pakikibaka para laban sa binanggit ko imperialismo, burokrata kapitalismo at feudalismo, dahil hindi nawawala at actually kahit pumunta pa tayo sa ibang bansa. Although totoo, iba ang social conditions, hindi nawawala kung bakit ba tayo natulak pumunta in the first place, no? Kadalasan, ang dami-daming kabataan ang napipilitang pumunta sa abroad, no, para magtrabaho or mag-aral dahil sa kawalan ng oportunidad dito sa Pilipinas na alam natin hindi yan magiging sustainable in the future, no, yung ganyang kaulisan. At kahit saan man tayo mapunta, hindi naman tayo, kumbaga, hiwalay, no, sa epekto kawing na imperialismo saan mang bansa. Kahit nasa US pa man tayo, nandun tayo mismo sa tungki ng kaaway. Kayang-kaya natin na, or nasa atin yung pawang na higit na expose, no, ilantad yung mga patakaran, hindi lang ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas, pero ng mga patakaran, no, ng gobyerno na mga imperialistang bansa. Na sa tingin ko, napakahalagang usapin o aspeto ng pagsusulong natin, no, ng pambansang demokratakong pakikibaka. Kailangan nating maipakita sa pinakamaraming Pilipino dayuhan, no, yung konkretong itsura ng nananatiling malakolonyal at malapigal na kaayusan, no? Kasi for the longest time, no, ang narrative ng US, tayo ay independent na, sila ay helping knight in shining armor ng mga bansa. At gusto natin yan i-debunk, gusto nating sabihin na hindi yan totoo. Actually, ito yung nangyayari. Pinapanatili niyong bulok yung aming lipunan, no? Pinipilit niyo na, tinutulak niyo na mag-abroad ng mga kabataan kasi dyan kayo kikita, no? Inline siya sa inyong interests and demands. So, mahalaga, very crucial, no, yung papel ng ating mga kababayan, mga kapwa kabataan Pilipino na nasa ibang bansa para una, syempre higit din na maabot yung iba pang mga Pilipino dyan na alam natin, more often than not, ay hindi naman itinulak lang dahil for tourism or leisure. That's a very outlier case, no? More often than not, dahil yan sa tulak ng kahirapan, tulad ng pangangailangan ng magandang oportunidad na at hindi all hope is lost, no? Kailangan natin maipakita na nandito yung pakikibaka no, yung national democratic struggle para umalwan dito sa bulok na kaayusan na nararanasan natin ngayon.
Hello, Rachel. Salamat ulit for coming to this interview. Yung question is, ngayong dumadami na ang mga kabataang aktivista na dinudukot ng Estado, ano ang mensahe mo sa mga kabataan na natatakot na maaari silang maging target ng Estado kapag sumali sila sa Anak Bayan?
Okay. First off, we have to establish that there's nothing wrong with activism, with joining Anak Bayan, more so the national democratic struggle, and advocating for a socialist society. So, though the fears are valid, it's not really surprising because of the worsening human rights situation. But what I would have to say is that activism or joining Anak Bayan is not what we should be fearing about, pero the overall enemy that we are facing, and that the fact that we're not alone in this struggle. So I think that's what I've also personally been holding on to, especially when I was also a new activist, is the fact that we're not alone in this fight. There are hundreds, thousands of students also with us in this struggle. And of course, looking back in our history, especially Anak Bayan, history has proved its correctness, its struggles, its campaigns, with the accomplishment or the victory of some of the democratic rights, though not yet in its full extent, pero at least the victories that it has experienced in recent proves that what we're fighting for is just, and that the people support us. The masses, the basic masses support us. If you go to the communities, if anything, they will be the ones who will feed you. They will welcome you into their homes. The workers will be there to, join you in the struggle for, better wages, working conditions. So I think that's something that we should really take in mind. Although the fear is valid, at the end of the day, we are not alone in the fight. And what we are fighting for is just, and in a democracy, activism is necessary, because we cannot personally ourselves detach ourselves from society. At the end of the day, we'll always be affected in some way, shape, or form by policies enacted in our government, in our country. So instead of being a passive force to just let it happen to you, the best way to go about it is to struggle for a better future, and make use of our talents, our wit. Yeah.
Salamat. Yung susunod ng question ay kamakailan lang ngayong taon nabalitaan namin na nakatanggap ka ng death threats at ang iyong pamilya. Hindi ka ba natatakot? May mga nagbago ba sa iyo matapos makatanggap ng ganong threats?
Natatakot din. Parang I think it's normal na matakot. Pero ang mahalaga naman ay paano ito pangingibabawan, how will we overcome it with the collective, with the organization. So, although yes, natatakot kasi at hindi lang naman kayong case, and speaking for most of the members of Anak Bayan, a lot experienced talaga profiling, surveillance. Just recently, Anak Bayan member, if you're familiar, Jed and Janila, they are Anak Bayan members recently abducted by the military, and a lot of activists in the Philippines experience this on a day-to-day basis, yung harassment. Pero come to think of it, if mapapangibabawan, if we'll be enveloped by our fear, kung walang kikilos, walang mangyayari. Parang hindi naman, again, like what I've said, hindi naman tayo nag-iisa sa laban na ito. Kaya katambal or parang part and parcel of our activism is organizing it, na to ensure that we're only we're not the only ones in the fight. No, we really have to work hard to explain to the people the necessity of the struggle. No, and it's essentially a mass movement. So dun tayo kumukuha ng lakas na loob, no, the courage, the revolutionary courage to carry on despite the hardships, the fear, sometimes the setbacks, especially when there are comrades that die in the struggle. No, it's a reality. No, when you whether you're in the movement or not, it happens. No, so what matters is what you want to do about it. So yun naman, that's what I cling on to, and a lot of our members also cling on to, na to ensure that this doesn't happen again to another person, that we fight for that we fight for a society that is for the betterment of the majority. And if anything, no, what we also cling on to is that the victory, or kumbaga the full experience, or parang pag tamasa natin ng ating mga karapatan ay nasa sama-samang pagkilos, no? So nasa atin yung lakas at tagumpay. Sabi nga, the power of the people is stronger than the people in power, no? So cliche, pero that's really true.
Yeah,
Just a
for sure.
follow-up question. Sorry, Diego. I just have to have a question regarding. So it's not just you that received death threats, but also your family. Is that correct?
Yeah, my mom got that call.
Yeah.
And of course, they also receive threats, no, na from different
Mhm.
people encouraging me to leave the movement, no, stop my activism. Ever since I became an activist, no. Pero along the way, they're understanding naman yung necessity for it.
Okay, that's good. Kasi my follow-up question was supposed to be like, if that changed again, if ever we're moving into positive direction, but does that death threat like move it like in the backward? Like naging ano ba ulit yung paningin nila na parang nakakatakot yan, tigil na natin to. Like, anong naging reaction ng mom mo specifically when she received the call?
Takot din naman, no. She was afraid. Though, from the onset, parang matagal niya nang sinasabi. She's always been telling me that it's dangerous, especially nung under pa ng Duterte regime. No regard for human rights, no? So they were already really scared. Pero ngayon, despite na of course, the fear, what really helped them was getting to know then the people, my org mates, no, fellow members of Anak Bayan, and showing them what we do on a day-to-day basis, that it's not just rallies, but, going to the communities, holding educational discussions, cultural activities, socio-economic programs, no. Although the fear is there, no, pero I don't think that will really go away anytime soon, and it's valid. But what helps naman din is realizing that what we are fighting for is right, no, and that we are in the right. No, so yeah, it's a continuing struggle.
Yeah, for sure. So before Diego asks the final question, I do have another follow-up regarding that. So, regarding kasi talagang dumadami na yung yung mga pananakot na ginagawa sa ating mga aktivista. And ano nang nagbago may nagbago ba sa sistema ng Anak Bayan para mas mapaigting yung seguridad ng mga member? Anong mga status doon?
So recently, or parang this year, we really adopted yung strict adherence to regular security assessments. So in our general assemblies, we'd go over if any member experienced harassment or profiling kahit sa mobilizations, when we experience police in civilian clothes, no, we confront them and then later on assess with the collective, with the organization, how to go about this, no, what led to this. So regular security assessments is one, no, and as well as resolution building. Second is of course conducting the basic human know your rights, no, training, so that what to do when state or civilian police in civilian clothes, no, takes your picture, how will you confront them, what to do, or when a police comes to your a police officer comes to your house na asks for your whatever document or whatever. So basic rundown and orientation of our rights, no workshops for that. And third would be closely working with human rights organizations in the country, like the Commission on Human Rights. They're there to help us then conduct, if needed, mga investigations, like what happened just this January when our national office was raided. No, not really raided, no, pero forcibly entered by state agents. Yeah.
Okay, salamat. So, Diego, you can ask the final question.
Okay, before that, I also have a follow-up question, like hindi naman related, pero this is more related sa diaspora. It's one of the biggest problems we have when it comes to engaging the diaspora in activism. One of the main arguments is, well, nandito ako sa Canada. Why do I have to care about what's happening in the Philippines? Or the other way around, like for example, if we're advocating for something, tapos other people are like, you don't even live there. Why do you care so much? Or why should we listen to you when you're not even affected directly by the things that are happening back home? So, just for example, if you were to face something like that, what would be your response?
Okay. So although I think what's crucial is that we really have to, first among our members, we really have to address or parang ensure the continuing political education and study movement among our membership, to understand that although yes, we're not directly affected now by policies of the Philippine government, at the core of it all, the policies of imperialism and feudalism, bureaucrat capitalism remain. And actually, if anything, we're still experiencing imperialism wherever we go. No, so I think that's really something crucial that we really have to address. But in terms of addressing or answering that, like why should you care? But because if we're in the context of these are Filipino, is that correct? Or parang okay. So if these are Filipino, parang we have to address what are the issues that made them migrate to Canada. At the top of my head, I think that's one thing that we could start the discussion with. Although yes, you escaped, or hindi escaped, no, pero you're already out of the conditions, the Philippine conditions. Parang at the end of the day, you'll still have friends, or at least parang people that you know in the Philippines that will be experiencing the same issues. I think that's kaya parang what I mentioned nung una was very crucial, yung sustained and continuing political discussions, no, because that kind of consciousness does not really come easily. Like, it's really hard. I understand that point, that struggle, that why would you care when you're not there anymore, no? Pero international, more than international solidarity, pero yung struggle for our Filipinos, kababayans in the Philippines, struggle for basic democratic rights comes with the premise that we understand na hindi yan issue lang ng mga Pilipino in the Philippines, pero kahit saan ka pumunta, affected tayo dahil ang daming patakaran o policies ngayon ng government na nagtutulak sa mga Pilipinong mag-abroad. So parang, I think that's one. Then, of course, yung papel talaga ng US imperialism, I think that is really crucial in explaining the necessity and why we should continue to struggle here or there in Canada, because, the US continues to kill our people, no, ensure that the economy is backwards, as well as our education, etc. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that was actually great. Thank you so much. ano po ang inyong mensahe or call to action sa ating mga tagapakinig?
Personally, if the last 5 years, if anything, have only made me realize that there is really no other way forward but through struggle and militant activism. Like, yes, we can engage, in social media or whatever means we want, but at the end of the day, we know we're not faced in the illusion that the ruling class will willingly give our democratic rights. So we are reaffirmed every day by the correctness of our militant activism with the continuing dire conditions of our people. And the ND struggle, the national democratic struggle with the socialist perspective is first unstoppable and is needed more than anything by the youth themselves, ourselves, and the Filipino people, wherever you may be, for a brighter future in opposing the ruling rotten system dominated by imperialism. So, if anything, what I want to leave our listeners is the message that we should all be national democratic activists. The times call for it. Especially in this worsening economic crisis, global economic crisis, with the impending regional wars, and of course its multiplier effect in the semi-colony and semi-feudal countries. There's no other way forward but through activism, militant and the activism. That's it. Thank you.
Yes, maraming salamat, Rachel, for taking the time to speak with us today. So na ngayon natutunan natin yung kung bakit mahalagang sumama ang mga kabataan sa diaspora o yung mga kabataan na nasa ibang bansa, kung paano konektado ang issue na naranasan natin dito sa issue na naranasan sa Pilipinas. Dyan po natatapos ang aming interview. Again, maraming salamat sa ating mga tagapakinig na patuloy na sinusuportahan ng Radyo Migrante.
Maraming salamat sa patuloy na pagsubaybay sa ating Pinoy Talakayan at Usapan o Pinoy Tayo. Nakikinig kayo dito lamang sa Radyo Migrante ng Vibe 105.5 FM.
At syempre, to stay updated sa happenings sa ating community, narito po ang mga event at announcement. Sa December 9, mayroong Pasko and Paroles Holiday Pop-Up by Cambio and Company. At sa December 10 naman, at 1 p.m. magkakaroon ng Human Rights Day Rally. Abangan po ang detalye mula sa Bagong Alyansa Makabayan at International League of People's Struggle.
Interesado ba kayo na maging bahagi ng Radyo Migrante? Halina't sumali sa Radyo Migrante Collective. There are open positions for new researchers, scriptwriters, co-hosts, editors, and social media coordinators. And to learn more from our past and future episodes, just check us out on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Isulat nyo lang ang Radyo Migrante Toronto sa search bar. At dito nagtatapos ang isa na namang makabuluhang episode ng Radyo Migrante. Ipagpapatuloy natin ito next week kung saan pag-uusapan natin ang human rights situation sa iba't ibang parte ng mundo para sa Human Rights Day.
Muli, sana po ay marami kayong natutunan sa isang oras na pinagsaluhan natin. Please be kind to yourself and enjoy the rest of your day. Padayon mga karadmig para sa progresibong politika at pagbabago.
Salamat sa inyong lahat for the opportunity to be your guest host for this week. Kita-kits next time mga karadmig.
Sa tulong ng mga kababayan natin na bumubuo ng Radyo Migrante, kay Rachel Villamor ng Anak Bayan Philippines, kay Carlo Ramirez para sa kanyang kantang Migranting Pilipino, at higit sa lahat sa inyo pong mga nakikinig sa Radyo Migrante tuwing linggo mula 1:00 hanggang 2:00 ng hapon. Maraming salamat po.
Hanggang sa susunod mga kababayan, muli mabuhay
Mabuhay
po
pa
kayo at mabuhay ang Bayang Pilipinas.